Is it possible to spend 3 days in Washington, D.C. and not spend more than $20 each day? Stick around because I'm going to help you find out. Hello, welcome to Trip Hacks DC. My name is Rob. I'm a tour guide here in the nation's capital. If you're coming to Washington, D.C. and you're looking for the best tips, tricks, and hacks for exploring the city, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification icon so that you don't miss any future videos. And if you're interested in signing up for a Trip Hacks DC tour, head on over to triphacksdc.com afterwards to see the tours that we offer. Washington, D.C. is an expensive city. It costs a lot to live here, and visitors also notice how expensive things are, but there is also a plethora of free and very cheap things to do, which makes this a great destination for budget travelers. I wanted to know if it's possible to have an awesome day in Washington, D.C. if you showed up with only $20 in your pocket. And not just once, because that's way too easy, but 3 straight days in a row. I took this challenge, so make sure to stick around to the end of this video to find out if I stayed under $20 on day 1. And make sure you watch the follow-up videos too to see how I did on days 2 and 3. Now, in order to do this challenge, I had to exclude the cost of accommodations. I know, this is a huge expense when you travel, but it's just not logistically possible to do this challenge if I had to include the cost of a hotel. I'm also assuming that you're staying somewhere downtown and not spending any money commuting in and out of the city. But other than that, food, entertainment, and local transportation will all come from a $20 daily budget. So with that said, let's recap how I did on day 1. I did this challenge on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday during July 2019. For my first day, I woke up and went to get breakfast at a place called Wicked Waffle. It's located downtown on I Street, just a few blocks away from the White House. One thing I quickly realized about this challenge is that in order to do it, I'm going to have to exclude getting drinks with my meals. This was kind of a killer for me personally, because I always start my day with a morning coffee. But an easy hack for this is that many hotels will offer complimentary coffee to their guests in the lobby. And worst case scenario, you can always use the coffee machine in the room itself. Anyway, back to Wicked Waffle. They have a bunch of delicious waffle sandwiches, but unfortunately, these are in the $7 to $9 price range, which puts them a little bit out of reach for me. So I went with the basic waffle and syrup, which came out at $5.23. The waffle was really good, and for the most part, perfectly filling for breakfast. At this point, it was around 8:30 in the morning, so I decided to head up to the National Zoo. The National Zoo is not the biggest or grandest zoo in America, but it is completely free. To get to the zoo, I took the Circulator bus. In the summer of 2019, Circulator was completely free, which really helps me with this challenge because I can get around without spending any money. There is a Circulator bus route that runs from McPherson Square, downtown, to the Woodley Park Metro Station near the zoo. So I walked about 6 minutes to get to the bus stop. Then the bus ride took about a half an hour, plus another 10-minute walk to the zoo. The zoo grounds open at 9 a.m., and the exhibits at 10 a.m. I spent a few solid hours at the zoo, although honestly, a good chunk of that was working on my laptop at a table rather than seeing the exhibits. By the time I was ready to leave, it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I walked back to the Woodley Park Station, but this time I actually went down into the metro. I rode 2 stops and got off at the Farragut North Station. Since I was riding during off-peak hours, the fare was $2. And if you want a refresher on how metro fares work, make sure to check out the video description. I will have a link to my video about that. Once I was back on the street, I walked over to one of my favorite restaurants, which I mentioned in a previous video, called the Well-Dressed Burrito. This is literally a hole in the wall, and the key thing to know is that they have very, very limited hours. Check out that video for all the details, but the gist of it is that you can only come here for lunch on weekdays. In that video, I also mentioned that I typically order the El Gordo burrito, eat half of it, and then save the other half for lunch the next day. But on this day, I went for a more modest, marinated chicken burrito, which set me back $7.15 after tax. But it was delicious, and even though it wasn't El Gordo, it was still probably more food than I needed. Now that I was over on this side of town, I decided it made sense to head over to Georgetown. Now, Georgetown's a cool neighborhood, but to me, the reason you go to Georgetown is to go shopping. And with a $20 budget, you're not doing any shopping. But it's not exclusively a shopping destination, and there are some really cool hidden gems that you can check out. I have an entire video about Georgetown hidden gems, so go ahead and check that out in the video description. Again, I hopped on the circulator bus, which took me right into the heart of Georgetown. Once I was there, I went to the Exorcist Stairs, famous from the 1973 movie, took a walk around Georgetown University campus, and went over to the awesome Georgetown Waterfront Park. I hung out and relaxed around there for a little while. By the time I was ready to head back, it wasn't quite dinner time, and I was still really full from that burrito. But I always stop at my favorite falafel restaurant when I'm in Georgetown. It's called Falafel Inc, and I mentioned it in my DC Cheap Eats video. The falafel sandwich here is only $3, so even with tax, that's only $3.30. I got mine to go and took it home to eat later. Obviously, I wasn't staying at a hotel, since I'm not visiting, but if you were a visitor, this would be your opportunity to head back to your hotel for a little rest and recharging. Around 7 o'clock, I was hungry and I ate my falafel. And then I headed out for an outdoor movie night. The cool thing about DC in the summer is that there are outdoor movies all over the city on different days of the week. And they're free. I went to the movies at Canal Park, near the Capitol, because it's where I happened to be on that day. But on Thursday nights, there are also free outdoor movies at the Navy Memorial, which is right on Pennsylvania Avenue and very convenient to most downtown hotels. And once the movie was over, I called it a night. Okay, so let's tally up those costs and see how I did on day one. Between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I spent $15.68. I took one Metro ride, which cost $2, and I didn't spend money on anything else. So in the end, that's only $17.68 for what amounted to a pretty awesome day. And it's way below my $20 limit. And even if Circulator hadn't been free, and I had to spend the typical $1 fare, I still would have been really close. And that's it! If you want to see how I did on day 2, go ahead and click right over here to watch that one. And if you're coming to DC and want to sign up for a Trip Hacks DC tour, which does not cost less than $20, but is still totally worth it, you can click on the Capitol Dome on the left side of my head. That'll send you over to triphacksdc.com, where you can see all of the tours that we offer. Enjoy your trip!